Call this meeting to order, January 5th, 2021. Welcome to our first council meeting for the year. If you'll stand with me, the mayor will lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Please bow with me. Lord, thank you once again for a wonderful day. Thank you for the city that we live in and the people that serve it. We ask that you watch over everyone. We thank you for the close of 2020 and look to the future of 2021 and beyond. Become better and better. We ask that all we do in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathy, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Denton.
Here.
Ivy.
Here.
Lawrence. Stewart.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here. Okay, if there's anyone in the audience that's not on the agenda and would like to be, if you'll see Clerk Haley, she will get you set up so you can have your time in front of us. Now, I just want to welcome everybody and hope everybody had a good Christmas and a happy New Year. Mayor?
Couple things. First off, New Year's Eve event went off very well early. I think it kind of thinned out later on, but Tommy Brandt did a good job. Brought a lot of Christian principles downtown. Good family event. Had a good car show, and then also the horse carriage was a big hit. So we'd like to say thanks to Tommy Brandt and everybody that supported him and did that. The GFNY Florida bike race, they kind of released some figures on that, so I just wanted to share it with those of you that didn't have it. That was a pretty good impact. They had a total hotel impact was 330,000, so that's figured about 500 room nights to 4 to 5, or 500 rooms 4 to 5 nights. So it came out pretty good. Using whatever the economic impact is, they estimated to be about 655,000 in revenue that came through the city from meals, gas, hotels. So it was a pretty good event. And sales tax collected estimated about just shy of 50,000. So it was a pretty big event. So, and the last thing I have, I said we need to ask Jack Pollard to come up to the podium, please. Brought Jack's life history here for you guys that are interested in it. He's a Christian man, but just wavers every once in a while, right? We won't go into much of that, so. Okay. Racetrack where it is. Garage where it was. So, Jack,
You're always welcome there, you know that. Oh, yeah, right.
Jack is a good friend and also a great employee, was a great employee for the city. Jack is retired at the end of the year. We're gonna miss him. Jack's been a big part of us, but he's been a big part of our community too, so I'm gonna read your proclamation. All right. All right, it says, where John Anthony Jack Pollard began his employment with the city of Sebring as a crew leader in the waste collections department on May 23rd, 2000. And whereas Jack transferred to the waste treatment department as a maintenance worker 3 on April 13, 2009. And whereas Jack was promoted to waste treatment operator Class C on September 28, 2012. And run out of breath.
Okay. You know all this. That's right.
Used to be. So kind of like you here.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas Jack quickly demonstrated the ability to learn and take on more responsibility and was promoted to waste operations superintendent on September 22nd, 2014. And whereas Jack not only served the citizens of the Sebring for 20 years, he displayed his servant leadership by volunteering and supporting various nonprofit organizations throughout Highlands County. And where Jack is retiring from his position on December 31st, 2020. Now therefore, let it be resolved that the mayor and the city council of the city of Sebring do hereby convey their sincere appreciation for the years of dedicated public service rendered to the city and its citizens. Jack.
Thank you,
the
John.
friend. That's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay. You don't want to say anything about Bob?
You don't want me to say anything, so.
Well, maybe if he was
I
watching.
will say something about Bob Hoffman. Bob Hoffman also retired after 300 years with the city. So he's pretty explicit about his congratulatory offerings from the city, and said he would never come back to the city if we did anything for him. So, but on behalf of the city and the mayor, that we thank Bob for all he did, and wish him best of luck in his retirement. So.
Amen.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen. Okay, councilman's concerns, comments, or liaison reports?
No, sir.
None?
None down here.
How about you, Mr.
Well,
D?
just the Veterans Beach is open. I've been there several times, checking out the activity, and everything looks like it's going smooth. It looks really good. Functionality is right up there, and
Yeah, looks good.
I think we're gonna be in pretty good shape.
Sure, yep, I think so. Thank you. And the mayor always steals my thunder. I was gonna talk about the car show, but, you know, he always gets first dibs, so. It was a good car show, and it did, a lot of cars, there was a lot of people down there, so it was good. Okay, next is 8, the consent agenda. I would consider a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We got a first and second. Any comments on the consent agenda? Not
Dutton,
whole.
Ivy,
Yes.
Lawrence. Stewart,
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes. Okay, 10A is the kickoff event for the Abide 21 Days of Prayer and Fasting. And we'd have Shane Mitchell come talk to us, please, sir. Tell us what you're up to.
All right. First of all, it's my first meeting here. We're new to Sebring, so thank you so much for allowing us to come tonight. But the kickoff event for Abide 21, this is an event that has taken place for several years. If there was ever a year that we needed to kick off a year with prayer, I would say 2021 would be it, after following what we did. But this is just a time where all of the Abide churches come together, a network of churches across denominational, and we come together to covenant to pray together. In the past, there have been times where we met in different areas to pray, but unfortunately because of COVID, we've kind of scaled that back a little bit. As we did the kickoff for this event, typically this is taking place on the courthouse square, and then later on we scheduled a night of worship, things like that. We're combining all of that together. And so the event will take place this coming Sunday at 3:30 to 5 p.m. It'll take place in the parking lot, just kind of behind First Baptist over there by the old bank. And just need a stage set up there. We're going to take care of all the sound system and everything else. We're doing it from 3:30 to 5, so it's still daylight. And that space gives everyone plenty enough room to bring chairs and space out and remain as safe as possible. And so that'll be the kickoff event. It includes some pastors speaking and some music, and should be a great event. That's pretty much it. Any questions?
And Kathy said you was gonna sing for us.
Oh, really? All right.
Anyone have any questions for the?
Sounds really good to me.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. God bless
Good
you.
event, so.
Yeah. Kirk, you got anything?
No,
No?
that's
Anyone in the audience want to make a comment? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the event as presented with the caveat of the insurance.
What about the stage waiver?
Okay, stage waiver
I'm
too.
just asking.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, if there's no more comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Have a motion and a second.
Oh, I got,
Call
poll
the
board.
That's good job.
Keep me straight.
Yes.
Ivy,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Okay, 10B is the proposal development agreement between the City of Sebring and CRF Sebring MHP LLC. That's a mouthful. I'm gonna hand this over to Mr. Swain and Mr. Natelick.
Want to go first? You want me to?
I can, if you like.
It's up to you.
So, this evening we have Bill Drost and Brian Altman there in the second row there to the right, representing the CRF Sebring MHP LLC. And they'll come up and speak about the development itself here momentarily. They are, this development will take place outside of the city limits, further up the Panther Parkway. This development agreement sets up design, engineering, and permitting and construction for a force main that will serve that community. We already have water just to the south of that community. I think the intent at this point is they will do all the work inside the community to city specifications, and then turn that over to the city at some future point in time.
Yes, sir.
So the sewer is a big deal to make this work for them. And so this is a cost-sharing agreement to run the city's, extend the city's sewer system out, or line, out to that facility, and ultimately for the city to maintain, own and maintain the lines within the park up to the meters or service laterals, as the case may be.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm Bill Drost with Century Companies out of Lakeland, Florida. Just wanted to give a little background on our company, what we do, and then a little bit about the development that we're planning there. We're a diversified development company in Lakeland, Florida. The bread and butter of our business is the retiree mobile home park communities that we do. We've got 15 parks with about 6,000 spaces right now. It's all we like to say Class A communities with full amenities, clubhouse, pool, tennis courts, shuffleboard courts, bocce ball. And we really try to market all across the United States, mainly to the Northeast. This will be our first new community since 2007, but I think in the package shows some of the examples of what we've done in the past. And we really want to do something. We've been looking for years to do a new project. And Sebring has been a target. We already own one community here. We love the area. It's a great retirement market. And when we saw this property and the new road that was going in, it really piqued our interest. It's a great location. Again, Sebring is a good market for what we do. And the city's been hugely cooperative with us, so has the county. And Kimley Horn did a good job getting it was at Orange Grove. It was zoned agricultural. They went to M2, which allows for mobile home park. And they were great to deal with. So far, everything is going smooth. And I think, like Bob said, the water and sewer are always the biggest hurdles for us, and trying to make sure we have the utilities adequate for our communities. With water being there, it was kind of down the sewer, and meeting with Bob and Scott and the rest of the city staff, and coming to an agreement, which I think is the first agreement like this that you guys have done, has been really great to work with. So we're excited about it. We hope that the rest of the city council approves it, but it's going to be a great project, and we're excited about it. I'll be here to answer any questions you have about the project.
I think it's a great idea, but you missed pickleball. We've had people.
Pickleball. You're right. We don't even do tennis courts anymore. It's all about pickleball.
Yeah, we have people hear about pickleball. That thing seems to be the thing these days. So.
You're absolutely right. Brian made sure when we laid out our amenity package that pickleball was the main thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I mentioned the dog park too. So there's a lot of things that people like. We've got 15 communities, so we kind of have a pretty good feel what they like, and that's going to be our key is the amenities that you have on the site. With the lake is huge, and the proximity to all the shopping and the restaurants being so close there. Everything just kind of came together on this.
Do you have an anticipated time frame get started?
Sure. We're working on our plans with Kinley Horn out of Lakeland now. They should be submitting in the next 30 days. We're probably gonna close on the property in mid-March. We've already got a couple $100,000 on deposit. And then once we get our permits, maybe a month or two after we close, it'll probably take 10, 12 months of construction. And then our build out, you only sell the homes as people come to you, but our plan is to do 50 to 60 homes a year. And with 330 lots, maybe 5 or 6 years until it's built out.
Okay, thank you.
What is the other community that you own here?
It's Whisper Lake, right
Whisper
on
Lake.
27.
Yep.
It's an older one.
Yep.
We built years ago. It's a single wide. This will be all double wide.
Mhm.
It's a little different product, but it's still geared towards retirees.
Very good. Thank you.
And y'all provide the mobile homes, right? They buy them through you.
Yes.
You set them up and do the landscaping.
Yeah, Brian could probably answer that better, but we kind of act as the dealer. They purchase the home themselves. We continue to
Okay.
own the lot. And they pay us the rent, so
Okay.
we manage, and we're pretty tough on management and make sure that they keep their yards looking good, and they're responsible for their own lawn landscaping. So
Sounds
they're-
good.
You drove through some of our parks. They're very nice.
Anyone in the audience want to ask any questions?
So let me ask Scott a question. You guys have run the numbers, and this is a positive for us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I can vouch for the Bill and the company. I think we dealt probably 20 years ago. I think we dealt with Bill.
Yeah.
They've been part of our community for a while, investing here. So
Yeah, we've got 2 self-storage facilities.
Yeah.
We used to have some retail centers in Sebring. We sold those, but
Right.
we do like Sebring.
It's always very quality people. So great company.
Excellent.
How far is the utility or the sewer lines from, how far are you gonna have to extend the lines to get up there?
It's about a mile and a half.
Bob, do you know the answer to that right offhand?
It's about, almost 1,800 feet.
Any other questions? I need a motion, guys. Wake up.
Motion that we approve the development agreement as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no other questions, Kathy, will you poll the board?
So, Denton. Ivy.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes. Okay, 10C is the
Thanks, guys.
Community Redevelopment Chair and Executive Director will be presenting the attached update to the mayor and council. Good evening.
Good evening. David Liddell, Chair of the Sebring City CRA for the record. The last time I was before you, we had come to ask for approval to enter into a loan agreement with the Truist Bank in the first round of financing that amounted to about $1.5 million. And plan to return for approval of an additional $5 million once our master plan is updated. We closed on that first round of the loan at the end of December and are in the process of identifying properties to purchase. The CRA staff is working with the city purchasing agent to develop 3 RFPs right now. We have a plan for the Nancessory property RFP to be on our agenda for the next week at our board meeting. The two others are the Circle buildings, and their RFP should be out for solicitation no later than our February board meeting. Next week, we will have members from S&M in town to meet with city council members, the CRA board commissioners, as part of the master plan kickoff. The expectation is that it will take S&ME approximately 6 months to make the updates to our master plan. Some of the items that we are hoping to be included in the new plan will be a rent subsidy for new businesses in our district, an extension of time for the CRA to exist, and the ability to offer competitive incentives to attract new businesses to the CRA district. At our CRA meeting on Monday, the board will approve the contract with Kimley Horn to begin the design phase of the waterfront project. This is perhaps one of the most exciting endeavors that we will embark on this year, since this project has been part of the CRA's plan for over 30 years. As I have mentioned in the past, this process starts with meetings that will be moderated by Kimley Horn with council members, stakeholders, and other public input to determine the best use of the waterfront for our district. Once the plan has been designed, it will be brought to you for approval with the hope of beginning construction about this time next year. While I know everyone has high expectations for 2021, I can tell you that the CRA is in the process of making a big impact in our district this year. Updating the master plan, beginning the waterfront design, filling downtown vacancies, and starting construction on the old Nancessory property are just the beginning of what we are planning to take place in downtown Sebring. Be happy to answer any questions.
Has there been any interest on the Nan property yet?
We have not had anybody approach us yet, no.
Wrong answer.
Just got it down last month.
I know.
It's the holidays.
It's a holiday, yes. Okay.
We hope to have that one out and turned around pretty quickly, though.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for there?
The RFP will be for multifamily housing, so apartment complex is the desired use,
That's good. That's good.
with a architect design that will fit in with the historic buildings that are there.
Sounds really good.
There's a lot of positive stuff for downtown, I think, moving stuff around and getting those buildings at least secured, that we don't have to keep tearing them down. I think that's the main thing. That's what CRA's done with the purchase and the funds that they have. These are very positive. I think the rent subsidy that will tail off after a time will get good businesses down here an opportunity to get solid businesses in a long-term venture, and also help the value of the downtown increase. So I think there's some very positive moves that the CRA is making at this time. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would agree. Thank you for working so hard.
Thank you all.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. 10E is the City of Sebring Utilities Department.
We pulled D.
What'd I do? I must have pulled it. Here I got it. I'm sorry. I moved too many papers. 10D, the construction management at risk for the renovation of the Ridgewood Drive Bank Building. Miss OSHA.
Good evening, Lisa OSHA, purchasing agent. So we put the construction manager at risk for the renovations of the Ridgewood Drive Bank Building solicitation out to bid. We received back 5 responses. The committee scored them and interviewed the top 4, and we were. I think that the committee was very pleased with all of the submittals. They were all very qualified. The interviews really made a difference, and the committee chose Marmer Construction, a local construction company, to be the CMAR for the bank building. So the committee is recommending that City Council accept the ranking of the RFQ committee and direct staff to negotiate a contract beginning with the top-ranked firm, Marmer Construction.
Any questions?
So that contract is it's to put together a price to give us an estimate of the building.
Yes, it's their contract, starting out. It's a phase contract, I
Right,
believe.
right.
is how
So
it'll work.
it's not as though we're approving to do this project.
Right.
All right. I want to make that clear, so.
None? Huh?
Ready to make a motion?
Sure.
I'll move that we accept.
I'll ask.
Go ahead.
Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak? Now you can make the motion.
Go ahead, yeah. All right, okay. I make a motion that we accept the ranking of the RFQ committee and direct staff to negotiate a contract beginning with the top-ranked firm, Marmar Construction Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any questions, any comments? Kathy?
Chapman?
Yes.
Ivy?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Cartile?
Yes. Okay, now we're
Thank
gonna
you.
move, thanks, Lisa, on to 10E. Mr. Bogus, that's the City of Sebring Utility Department renovation.
Good evening.
Howdy.
As council may remember, during our budget workshops, staff was wanting to harden our front counter at the utility office. It's been a long process due to COVID and a lot of other issues, but we finally got to a point where we opened up sealed bids on December 2nd. And I believe attached to your packet are 3 different documents of bid tabulation, an engineering recommendation letter, and bidder specification compliance letter. There was a concern about a particular item. The ballistic glazing was a little bit low, we thought. As you might see that yourselves, it just looked very low, so we questioned them on that. And they said, guys, it's what you expect. So based upon their letter stating that it is the material we're asking for, Dale's letter saying he could find no reason why we shouldn't accept it, and staff is saying, looks like that's the way to go.
So I have a question for Scott. We're doing this because there are cashiers there and they're accepting money. Doesn't the same thing happen here in this office?
Does.
At the building department for certain,
We're actually doing cash just at the front counter now.
at the front counter. So they go to the building department and if there's money, they take it at the front counter.
Correct.
So wouldn't it be logical that that would be done as well? That's just, I'm just,
It would be
Okay,
logical.
it would be logical.
done as well, although
well,
we
so,
might be
okay, so
looking at a new building.
I got that. I understand that completely, but I'm gonna ruin your day right now. But I really don't understand why, if we're gonna be doing this project, looking into the moving the city hall over there, that his business is not in that building, or at least a single cashier to handle all of the money brought in for the city. Why, I mean, why, wouldn't it be better if we came and paid in one location instead of multiple locations?
I mean, obviously, that starts to beg the question as to whether or not utilities should be relocated.
Well, that is a question, which we've talked about, but I'm bringing it back up. So I think logically speaking, one cashier for the city or one location to go pay makes sense to me. I'm not disputing the fact that it's a good idea to have what we've talked about, but I'm also saying it's probably a good idea to have everybody covered who is receiving money and in that position. And why is there numerous places to collect funds throughout the city as opposed to one?
I mean, right now, I think it's a convenience issue for, utilities customers. We are in, I'll say, 2 different locations in the city.
Right.
I don't think you want to send people from, one building to another at this point. Obviously, in
Mhm.
that location, we're going to be a lot closer to one another, so.
Yeah.
That's something that we can investigate and look at.
Mhm.
I
Well, I just thought that we should plan ahead, and that, to me, that's thinking ahead.
Well, first of all, one cashier, I don't think will be able to
Well, they have 2
handle-
now. They have 2 now
Who?
at the utilities.
I thought they had 3.
Or, okay, more than, so,
Don't you have 3, Bobby, cashiers?
Yes. We also have a drive-through that I'm a little concerned with the bank location.
Right,
How are you gonna accommodate a drive-through with that?
right. Then a lot of people use that drive-through.
That's a very good convenience, especially with COVID. A lot
Mhm.
of people are using the drive-through.
and the drive-through already has a bulletproof glass. So,
We do
is
it
it-
the same with a pneumatic tube system.
Oh, with a tube system.
And we also have a closed-circuit television, so they can see us, we can
Right,
see them.
right.
communicate.
Well, that makes sense, that the drive-through is an asset, most definitely.
Right. Carl, you have something to say?
Carl Hoagland for the record, Police Chief. One of the concerns I would have about a centralized cash receiving or money receiving location is the technical proficiency for some of the questions that need to be answered. We collect money for code enforcement cases, estoppel letters, lien reductions, police public record requests. whoever that clerk is gonna have to be proficient in all of those different areas to know why that money's being collected and be able to answer questions. That's gonna be very difficult. For instance, building department questions with permitting, timelines,
Right.
when orders could be fulfilled. You're gonna have to have somebody that has a great understanding of all of these processes versus just the financial side of it.
That certainly makes sense.
So, just a concern.
I actually wasn't even,
centralized.
I wasn't even thinking about the police department.
Well, computer-wise also, Mark,
Yeah.
they really have to get into numerous systems.
Sure.
And have access to them and then be able to respond to citizen that's at the counter at the time. I think it might be very, very
Yeah.
difficult, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense as well.
Yeah.
Really.
All
I
right.
know, I know I'm the liaison to the water department, and when I go in there, those girls, all three of them are talking to somebody.
Yeah,
And
they're
there's
busy.
people, and there's actually people waiting,
Sure.
you know, so I'd hate to see us kinda change that.
It's not,
And the drive-through, a lot of people use that drive-through.
Makes sense, yes.
I think lobby-wise, that's probably the busiest office in town as far as the.
Right.
and money.
Mhm.
Okay.
I have a question for Bob.
yes.
Bob, do you plan on staying, or is the city plan on staying in your current office? Or at some point in time, might you be moving over to, if you were to go into the Wachovia Bank then?
Tom, I really
Have we
don't.
even talked about that? Cause I just don't wanna spend $68,000.
Yeah, well, that was part of the thought process.
If they're moving over to City Hall.
But I think that really wasn't in our original plan, although I question whether it should be or not. What about you, Bob?
To be honest with you, Mark, I thought we would stay probably where we are. Kind of the old thing, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But we do have the ability to have a drive-through facility, when I honestly don't know how we would do it at the old bank across the street.
Right.
You know, the existing drive-through, I thought that, you know, we park on it, we enjoy the shade right now, but that was the drive-through for the bank, and
Right.
it's remote. Not the best situation for a drive-through.
Well, you've convinced me that your location is right. Thank you.
And
Appreciate
we
you
would-
asking.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we would have another vacant building downtown.
Well.
What
Okay.
was it? Do what? We'll let John rent it for another bank or something.
North Branch.
Yeah,
I have a question.
okay.
Is it the glass that makes the somewhat significant difference in the bids? This is much lower than the rest of them.
That's correct, and that was our concern, was, you know, did they make a mistake? Are they gonna come back to us with a change order saying, guys, we're gonna have to charge you a little bit more than what we were set? I think the next lowest bid, though, was quite a bit higher. When Scott and I were discussing this, he pointed out to me that we could pay more and still be ahead by accepting their bid, so.
I think how we fashion the contract with them and cover those issues if that glass is not.
And the other thing that I knew was gonna drive this cost up is we have to be open for business. So the only time we can allow them to work on it is after hours or on weekends. And we knew that was gonna add to the cost.
But all of the bidders bid that same glass.
That's what they're saying, yes.
Distresses me that Marmor is the highest.
Well, there's, you know, three of them's relatively close, and then that one is really
Yeah.
low.
Just fashion the contract.
Well, should we put it back out to bid with beefed up glass?
Well, they're saying that the glass we spec is what they're
Is what's
spec'ing out.
typical, is typical?
So I think it's resistant up to a 44 Magnum or something. I don't know much about ballistic glass or these panels and stuff that they're gonna be installing.
It's not bulletproof, I'll tell you that much.
They say bullet resistant.
Right,
Yeah.
it slows it down. I mean, even the drive-throughs at the bank are not bulletproof glass. They're bullet resistant. I mean, they'll stop it, but it'll do some damage to the window, so.
Yeah.
It's my understanding it's very heavy.
Yeah.
And they have to support it with the design of the counter to support that kind of weight.
Right.
And the frame itself they put it in has to be
Yeah.
pretty stout.
I got you.
I think the closest example you would see of that would be the Wells Fargo Bank North on US 27. That's a very similar size counter to what Bob has in his office.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got extremely thick glass. It's gotta be more than an inch. And it's staggered and all that. Did you happen to talk to them to find out who might have done theirs, Bob?
No, Tom, we didn't. We went over to the sheriff's office and looked at what they did.
Oh, okay.
And we also went out to SunTrust at the old Southgate Shopping Center and looked at what they had got some ideas. And we allowed, we hired an engineer from Polston Engineering to help us, with these specifications, because I didn't know anything about it. So we think we've got a good bid. It was just the concern we had with that one item being so low.
Sure.
But Bob, I would suggest in the contract, we cover ourselves there, that if that's not working, that it's their expense. The city's not on the hook for any of that, warranty, whatever.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that, I don't understand what you're saying, if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The bullet goes all the way.
So if the bullet goes through.
Yeah, that's your first indication.
Call Safe Light Auto Glass.
Gonna warranty somebody's life then, so.
If this works out well, I'd like to see the police department have the same thing.
Well, I'm surprised they don't.
Well, when we did the construction, we had like 26 work orders, or
Change orders, yeah.
And we were at a point where we needed to put the brakes on.
Yeah, yeah.
But in today's environment, I would strongly suggest that. I'm sure the chief would
Yeah.
agree with that. So we'll let Bob be the guinea pig until work gets on out.
Oh,
And
boy.
ours is the one at the police department.
Smaller.
Yeah, it's much smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Bob. Are you sure they're gonna install it?
Well, that's what's called for.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions, audience, up here? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Semco Construction Incorporated as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and instruct the city attorney to prepare the necessary contract.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comments or questions? Poll the board.
Denton.
Yes.
Ida.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carl.
Yes. Okay, 10F, new control panel for water treatment plant, number 2, Mr. Bogus.
Feel honored to be able to do another one here, and another one after this one.
Sure enough. Did you bring a chair?
The control panel at this particular plant is also known as Veterans Beach. The control panel, we think, is over 40 years old. And the way these things were built back in the day, they used transformers and voltage reducers. It's really kind of it's what they had. It works, but when it breaks, it's becoming very difficult to find parts. And when you do find them, you pay a premium for them. So staff got busy looking for a new panel that we could replace this with. Mater Electric has provided a quotation, which should be attached to your agenda item summary. And the improvements this panel will give us is not only having a new, and this panel is basically the brains of the plant. If it goes down, the plant goes down. So it's a critical operational item to have. But it will provide us with what they call a soft start, which now when the power goes on, it's on full voltage. The motor takes quite a jolt when it gets it, and over time it shortens the life of the electric motors. Soft start kind of is like an accelerator pedal where you just kind of ease into it. It also will incorporate variable frequency drive, which also allows the high service pumps to be regulated, throttled per se, to allow for the proper pressure on the system. Now currently this plant does incorporate an elevated storage tank, which is critical to maintaining proper pressure in that area of our system. We're not saying we can eliminate the tank, We don't want to do that right now, but it does give us the flexibility if that tank has to come out of service for maintenance or whatever, the plant will have to come down when it comes down. We'll just valve off the elevated tank, and the high service pumps will pump right straight into the system. So it gives us more flexibility. It will also make these motors last a heck of a lot longer than what we're seeing right now. It's a lot easier on them. Now, we budgeted $83,000 in the approved budget for this year, and the quotation came in at $66,532.01. Now, that quote was old. It was back in October. We contacted Mater today to say, is this still a good price? And they assured us it was. So, just asking council's permission to go ahead and make the purchase.
Sounds good.
Is this a sole source?
Well, Mater is a company we've done business with for a very long time, and we're piggybacking. I kind of wanted to kind of give you all that
Piggyback.
information
That's fine.
about how we're
Piggyback.
procuring this.
That's good, thank you.
Okay.
Bobby, I think Duke Energy is requiring self-start stuff now, because we just done a new pump station, and that's what they said we had to use. Used to, they called them two-part winds, and now they're going to self-start. And it just eases the power in. So.
Yeah, it scared me when I was standing beside one day to start it up. It was rather violent.
Yeah.
And when you're not ready for it, it will spook you just a bit.
Yep. Yep. Need a motion, guys?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda item as presented.
We've got a motion and a second. So if there's no other questions or comments, Kathy, call the board.
Kevin.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Todd.
Yes. Okay, looks like Mr. Bogus has got 10G, budget amendment number 31, Little Redwater Lake Mobile Home Community Force Main Engineering plus permitting.
Yes, sir. This is kind of in follow-up to what Scott and Bill Drost addressed for council a little bit earlier this evening. As it was explained in the agreement, that they will pay up to $200,000 of the cost, and engineering certainly is part of those costs. We contacted Polston Engineering to give us a quotation on what it's going to take to design, engineer, and permit this new force main that is going to be required to install. Their quote came back at $56,000. Now, this was something that wasn't something I had planned on during the budget process. So I'm proposing, with Budget Amendment 31, to transfer funds out of our contingency account into our engineering account.
Well, we certainly can't do the project without the funds.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This expenditure would be subject to that repayment by Century Companies under
Right.
the agreement you just
Right.
considered with them.
Right. If there's no make a motion.
Well, I move that we accept Polson Engineering proposal in the amount of $56,000 and approve budget amendment number 31.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any comments or concerns from the audience? Kathy?
Kevin.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Todd.
Yes. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got everything approved. Okay, we're gonna move on to, business from the audience. We don't have any. Okay, city attorney's business. I tried not to forget him tonight.
I appreciate that.
Mr.
sir.
Swain, the interlocal agreement between the city of Sebring and Highlands County for provision of fire protection service and solid waste collection service.
So this agreement references all the property that the city just annexed along US Highway 27. And because the county has already collected funds for fire protection and solid waste, it made sense to have them continue to provide the service for those funds represented through the end of October of this year, and that the city would then bill for, collect, and do that work for those properties going forward. Excuse me, end of September, not October. And then on 205 in paragraph 6, it's the intent to enter into an interlocal service boundary agreement regarding this property and some joint planning in some areas that are not technically in the city, but nearby. There may be some opportunities for providing service in some of those areas. And an intent to update the automatic mutual aid agreement for fire protection services. So that's a process that everybody's saying we'll agree to sit down and talk about how to do that. So that is the agreement that the county approved back at one of their meetings in December. It's on council's agenda for your consideration and vote.
Any comments, questions? Motions? Audience, anybody?
Make a motion, we approve the attached local agreement as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. If there's no other comments or questions,
Denton.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Frye.
yes. City Administrator.
Evening, council. I just wanted to remind everybody that Councilman Ivy proposed the idea of having a workshop here in January to discuss topics that each of you might submit. So I just want to remind you to submit any ideas or topics that you would like to discuss at that workshop. And this week I'll be reaching out to you to try to identify a date for that workshop.
Sounds good.
I think we need it,
Yep.
probably more than one.
You can thank me later, Scott. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hoffman, thank you for waiting.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Yeah. Mikey, he does it every time.
Friends fast, don't you?
Yeah.
Is that all you got, Scott?
Chief desk.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, last but not least,
Council needs to clear the payment of bills, please.
Second.